We've had several segments talking about the reporting you've done and Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So when I pull up the Wikipedia
it's horrible.
for Project Veritas,
it's beyond. It's
but
beyond.
It's insane. But I'm going to read some because it's important. They say Project Veritas is an American far-right activist group founded by James O'Keefe. The group produces deceptively edited videos of its undercover operations, which use secret recordings in an effort to discredit mainstream media organizations and progressive groups. Project Veritas also uses entrapment to generate bad publicity for its targets and has propagated disinformation and conspiracy theories in its videos and operations. Now, there's a couple of things I want to say. All of the citations on this are opinion pieces.
Yes.
Wikipedia is an encyclopedia, it says.
Yes.
Yet this whole article has taken random opinions. And it was funny because I was looking at the talk section of Wikipedia where the editors talk. And someone said, why are we using all of these op-eds? It's not.
And what was the response to that guy?
Oh, they get shut down in 2 seconds. Oh. But you want to know, this is why I just said to you, I want you to sue Wikipedia. Because there's something very important right above that paragraph I just read. Yeah. It says, from Wikipedia.
Oh.
It doesn't say from user catlover42. It doesn't say from Johnny B. Good 900. It doesn't say from We Are Change. It says from Wikipedia right here.
They banned me on Wikipedia, so I'm not on there.
That's fair.
It says...
they said from Wikipedia. What do you mean from Wikipedia?
It says at the top of the site, Project Veritas from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Project Veritas is... if they're asserting the statements have come from themselves...
That's a good point.
It doesn't matter. So I'll put it this way. We launched Timcast.com. We got a bunch of users. It's going really well. We have journalists. Could I take random comments from users, quote block the text, and then put it in an article that says from Timcast or from Tim Pool,
right.
and then assert, it's user-generated content. We're 230 protected. No, I've put my byline on it. Wikipedia has asserted this is their statements from them.
Yes.
Now, if they can remove that, but I think as long as that exists and they have asserted this on this page about Veritas, nowhere does it say the statements came from any journalists, any writers, any pundits, opinion people, or users. It only says from Wikipedia.
I think that's a great fact. I will talk to my lawyers about that, but I do intend to sue Wikipedia in some way, matter, shape, or form. And I will do that, whether it's the users, the website, we'll do it. But it's very important your audience understand this. I know you do. You said they're all citing opinion pieces. And that in the New York Times lawsuit, Tim, the New York State Supreme Court judge actually said how deceptive it was for the New York Times reporter to mask a first sentence of the article and defended it saying, that's my opinion. And that was deceptive, and that was disinformation. The judge actually said it was disinformation for the New York Times to call it an opinion when it was used to justify all types of other things. But they use supposition, they use circular sources. This is the way the propaganda works. I admire these writers on Wikipedia and the New York Times. You have to be an artist to paint reality in the way that they do. It's any time I aim a camera in any direction, it will contradict what you see on that page. And that's why people are so pissed off. That's why the whistleblowers are coming out, because, listen, people are willing to give up their livelihoods right now. Yep. I've spent my whole life effectively doing this since I was in college for, 15, 16 years. And you might have 1 or 2 people a year that say, okay, I'll do it. Right now, 10,000 people are willing to do it. That's the silver lining. People are waking up, and sometimes maybe it has to be darkest before the light.
When I was looking at the Pfizer scientists video you did, some of them seemed like you had that one guy. I think his name was Nick Carl, right?
Yep.
And he seemed like he was reveling in it. Yeah, mandate it, do it. But one of those guys, I think the guy's name was Chris or whatever, seemed kind of like, I know what's going on is bad.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this.
But they're not willing to.
Nobody wants to stick their neck out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to take the responsibility of what it means that they're a snowflake contributing to this avalanche.
Yeah, we talked about this last time. It takes a lot of courage to stick your neck out. But in the 20th century, people didn't really have as many options. And these days, you can put a not GoFundMe because they banned us on GoFundMe. Give, send, go raising $500,000 per whistleblower. $500,000 for whistleblower now at Project Veritas.
I'd say I think 10 years ago that was near retirement funds, but now with inflation through the roof, you're lucky to buy a cheeseburger.
And one more comment I want to make about how journalism has changed. I'm seeing this a new phenomenon occur. The mainstream media will now not reveal newsworthy information due to the quote harm the information might inflict on the subject exposed. Remember the communist teacher thing we did a month ago? Gabrielle Geip in California with the hammer and sickle.
Yeah.
This guy was saying talking about child abuse and we need to scare the F out of kids. And a lot of the people in Sacramento had to report on this because he was fired. So they had to report the news. But one of the refrains was they're not going to mention the name of the teacher. Listen to this, quote, teacher whose name we are not disclosing due to potential harm against him.
Wow.
So this is a new phenomenon in journalism. We're not going to reveal newsworthy information because the person might be harmed. Same thing with the FBI.
Right.
Or these parents might do harm to the teachers.
Well, actually, this is fascinating. One of the core journalistic ethics is minimize harm.
Right.
But they only are now applying it. You take a look at CNN when they were like, here's the name of the man who posted the Nancy Pelosi video. Here's where he works.
Right.
Maximizing harm against those who speak out against their political ideology. In this instance, we're not going to reveal who this person is. I'll give you a really, really good example of how this is manipulative in the mainstream press. Andy No. He goes out and he reports on Antifa violence and extremism. He goes on Twitter and he posts photos of the people arrested at these extremist events. The left says he's making kill lists, he's secretly working with the far right, and then their allies in media regurgitate the lies. Ryan Riley of the Huffington Post has been doing literally the exact same thing about the January 6th defendants. They cheer him on as an intrepid and amazing journalist doing the good work of exposing the extremists. As far as I'm concerned, both of them are doing journalism by saying, here's the guy who was charged, here's why he was charged. I'm fine with either. But you can see how the political ideologies and you can see how the mainstream media is willing to support one and oppose the other.
It's the murder cult. You can't attack the murder cult. And that's the thing is like you look at everyday regular people and their businesses, their homes, their property, their livelihoods. The government doesn't care about that.
Oh, they've been decimated.
But if you go after those guys on the shiny white Capitol Hill, you invade their space. And let's face it, like those guys, they got more ammunition and firepower in their trucks that they left behind and they didn't bring in there. And
like the FBI said, there was no plan.
There's been
a bunch of raucous people who rioted. It was bad. Like we all, it was bad.
It's not cool. Yeah, I mean,
but you have now stories that they don't track the leftist violence in the same way they do the right. You have the hearings about how the right is substantially worse. This is the fascinating thing. I want to loop this back to how they frame Veritas on Wikipedia, a far right. What does that even mean when they call you far right?
I beside myself. Like I said in the beginning of my I guess career, I used to fret and have sort of PTSD over the Wikipedia page. I've come to accept it. The moment you stop giving a shit about what they think of you and stop seeking their approval is the moment when you become truly free. I've learned this in my life. It's just I have to accept the unacceptable. To be labeled far right, I literally don't express my opinion in any. I've never expressed my opinion in any of the investigations I've ever done, and all they do on television is express their opinion. I don't see anything but them express their opinion. It's Orwell's, 1984 doublethink.
Yeah.
There.
Well, at least you haven't been unpersoned. On Wikipedia, they literally unpersoned me.
Why did they do that?
Because I was exposing the Russian hoax right when it was the most prominent in the mainstream media. They were saying there's clear Russian collusion, Russia hacked the election, they helped Donald Trump win, and I'm like, no, that didn't happen. Where's the evidence? We don't see any evidence. I don't believe in this story. And because of that, Wikipedia, there was some editor that wrote, well, even though they do newsworthy stuff, like get on Epstein's island or talk to this politician or talk to this whistleblower, we're going to refrain from even naming them in any future Wikipedia entries. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, who's this random user? I forgot the user's name, but just completely unpersoned me from Wikipedia. I don't even exist on that platform the last time I looked. So there's many different ways that they try to go after you. A lot of times they try to silence you. A lot of times they attack you. And I think they have to use both because they know if they just attack, they sometimes make people grow as well.
Right. They don't want to mention like Voldemort, right, Mario? They can't mention us by name, or So I mean, far right. I don't. And of course, there's probably like how many citations, footnotes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like all these opinion pieces they're citing after that word.
Wikipedia. Have you seen the Larry Sanger? We had him on the show once. He's one of the co-founders of Wikipedia, and he says it's just leftist propaganda at this point. It's crazy. I used to donate to Wikipedia. I was such a big fan. This idea of the community coming together and being like, let's get some good, reliable sources. But I'll tell you this. Even it's fascinating to me when I look at Media Matters, for instance. Media Matters is literally an activist organization. I mean, I'm not exaggerating or trying to insult them. They're an organization that scours right-wing content or whatever you want to call it, and then disparages them. They've made up things on numerous occasions, and NewsGuard, which is, I believe, funded by Microsoft, is their green check mark. All good.
Speaking of Media Matters, this is a Media Matters headline last week. YouTube is taking a victory lap for its latest vaccine misinformation policy. Meanwhile, Project Veritas is gaining millions of views on YouTube for quoting people. So Media Matters is doing the yeoman's work of trying to get us banned for doing investigative reporting.
I think you should sue NewsGuard.
NewsGuard?
Yeah. So we use NewsGuard specifically because I consider it a check on our bias. So NewsGuard is a fact check. It's a rating agency. They have a 10-point system, a 100-point system, and Veritas has a 57 out of 100 in their scoring system. They say the website fails to adhere to several basic journalistic standards.
Which are those?
They say you do not gather and present information responsibly. You do not handle the difference between news and opinion responsibly.
Really?
You don't disclose ownership and financing, and you don't provide the names of your creators along with either contact or biographical.
How do they rate
the kettle
big
black
propagandas, right? That's what I would.
You know what's funny? I've never lost a lawsuit. Project Veritas has won every single lawsuit.
Yep.
And I will give $10,000 to any human being who can name one deceptive edit in the last decade of my life. No one can do it. But they just keep saying I doctor tapes. I mean, it's become so cliche to say 1984. It doesn't even mean anything anymore. But it's like the doublethink, to tell deliberate lies while genuinely believing them, to forget any fact that becomes inconvenient, and to draw it back from oblivion when it becomes necessary to do so, to deny the existence of objective reality. It is what they do, and I keep saying this. It's just pissing everyone off, such that there's going to be an uprising.
Here's how it works. Luke and I are sitting here. I report. There is a rose quartz crystal ball here on the table.
Right.
Luke then reports, Tim Pool is lying. It's actually a fluorite crystal ball. What happens then is you, as the fact checker, can say either one of us is the liar, depending on which idea you want to support. So when I'm looking at the NewsGuard for Veritas, they mentioned that you featured a postal worker named Richard Hopkins.
Right.
Now, you actually did a story where he made claims, where he said things.
That's right.
And you reported those things.
That's right.
The mainstream media then called you a liar. They've decided the mainstream media's claims are more valid than yours, thus you're not telling the truth, when they're literally trying to decide between two people who've made a statement.
Just to say a word about that postal worker, Richard Hopkins, the Washington Post, Richard Hopkins was interrogated by federal agents. And Richard Hopkins, we had a recording of his interrogation. We published the recording. And then somehow the Washington Post was leaked statements by the federal agents. Well, there's only two federal agents in the room, and I know they're both of their names. And the federal agents made claims that contradicted the recording. And the Washington Post reports anonymously sourced the people in the room. So they say, and then CNN said, well, credible sources say. And I said, well, I have the damn recording. I have the recording. Rock beat scissors. I have the recording. Well, but and Jacob Bagage of CNN, literally, you could see the condescending smugness in his face when he goes on Anderson Cooper and says, "Credible sources like the Washington." Well, I have a recording of what transpired, so they're credible by virtue of their own decree that they are indeed credible. And it's a self-anointed racket,
and they don't care.
This needs to go in front of a judge, is what I'm saying. When NewsGuard now says you are not credible because the Washington Post has with anonymous sources challenged your actual recordings, it needs to get it to a judge where the judge can determine is this defamation or is this libel? It's written.
I was just emailing my colleague this, and we did indeed send a demand for a correction to NewsGuard, to Peggy Ackerman, senior editor at NewsGuard, and we're in process of that. And Tim, I have to sue a lot of people.
I know.
I've been suing. I'm suing Twitter, CNN, New York Times, and we're winning. All the lawsuits. It's just like I think that Luke, your idea. People's Defamation Defense Fund. Mm-hmm. There needs to be 100 people suing the New York Times for defamation. We got to find the right plaintiffs, the right set of facts to get past motion to dismiss, which is a very difficult burden to get past, Tim. But I agree with you, and I will sue NewsGuard if they don't correct.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.